I want to take a little bit here to talk about the establishment media. So, one of the problems with the mainstream media is that they have what I call a sensationalism bias. A sensationalism bias basically means that they're going to cover the things that are going to get eyeballs, even if they're irrelevant to people's lives and to what the news should be. So, for example, you're going to get the Kanye West Donald Trump meeting, and oh my goodness, isn't this incredible? And they're going to cover that for way longer than they should, and it's going to overshadow very important issues, like, for example, Saudi Arabia slaughtering women and children in Yemen with weapons that we give them, and we know it's going on. See, that's a real scandal. To discuss Trump and Kanye endlessly is you're doing the equivalent of a cat chasing the laser pointer. So, but that's our media. So one of their biases is sensationalism. They want to get more eyeballs. They're for-profit entities. So, okay, you got to sprinkle in a story about Kim Kardashian or Kanye West or Lady Gaga or Beyonce or whatever, because that's what people want to see. Or they think that's what people want to see, and that's the only way they could keep eyeballs on them. I'd like to think that what we're doing and what other new media outlets are doing are proving that mindset incorrect. But that's how they think. Okay, there's a sensationalism bias. There's also a neutrality bias on many of these outlets. So what does that mean? You know, when you hear the word neutrality, many people who don't follow politics closely, they may go, "What's wrong with that? I don't see the problem with that." You want media outlets to be neutral, right? You want them to be fair to both sides. I mean, that's what that means. But there's a problem. Neutrality is not the same thing as objectivity. What you really want your media outlet to be is objective. Because objective means I'm going to tell the truth no matter what. And no matter what partisan direction it may point in. Or no matter how black and white the truth may be on certain issues, I'm not going to kowtow and coddle the feelings of people who are wrong, who are screaming that we're biased against them. The facts are the facts, and if the facts say you're wrong, you're wrong. So you want an objective media that's not afraid to tell the truth no matter where the truth leads. What you do not want is a neutral media, because neutrality means I'm going to call it 50-50 no matter what. So, okay, tell me anything. Evolution versus intelligent design? Okay, it's 50-50. Let's hear out the intelligent design people. Let's hear out the evolution people. Okay, climate change. You say it's happening. You say it's not happening. Let me give 50-50 time to both, and that is what it is. But they're actually misinforming you if they stick to the neutrality principle. And they're actually, if you really think about it, on many issues, it's a conservative bias when they have a neutrality bias. Because if you're giving undue credit to the climate change's fake people, well, then you're biasing the debate in their direction because they are wrong and you're still giving them credit. So remember that. That's really important. But the most important bias that the mainstream media has, and when I say mainstream media, I'm talking CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, CBS, NBC, ABC, the nightly news, they have an establishment bias. Now, what that means is they don't rock the boat because they are the boat. You have the same people who control these big corporations, corporate media. The same people that do that go to the same parties with the Democratic and Republican senators and congresspeople. They are the elite. They run these multi-billion-dollar entities. They have a stranglehold on the market. So they don't want anybody messing that up. So what does that mean? It means that when you hire people who you think are not too radical. They're within the spectrum of debate that we allow. They're within the Overton window that we've set up. So that's why, for example, on CNN, you have a milquetoast clown like Don Lemon, who's never said anything interesting in his life. You have Wolf Blitzer, who might literally be a robot. And you have people, even your hard-hitting journalists like Anderson Cooper. Is he really all that hard-hitting? I've seen him let politicians get away with the most egregious lies. So, and he loves to play that neutrality bias. In fact, he said on Howard Stern, I think it was, he said, "Oh, I don't vote." Howard's like, "What the fuck? What are you talking about? Why?" He's like, "Well, I think that would pollute my job as being a journalist. I'm supposed to be neutral." So he's taken his role to mean I can't have an opinion about anything, and I can't even have an opinion based on the facts. I'm so neutral that I don't even vote, I don't even care about it, I don't even think a journalist should vote. That is the craziest fucking thing I've ever heard. You should care about the news, you should care about the real world, you should care about the facts, you should care about, saying Bernie Sanders is a better person and his policies would affect people in a more positive way than Ted Cruz is just a fact. Nope, I can't say that. I'm Anderson Cooper. So these are the kinds of people that they hire. They hire people who don't rock the boat. Look, don't get crazy here. The spectrum of debate that's allowed is establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats, and that's it. Nothing outside of that. So, and this is why they're failing, and this is why their numbers are abysmal. Now, I tell you all that to tell you this. Justice Democrats launched a little over 2 weeks ago. So far, we have over 115,000 supporters. There are over 115,000 Justice Democrats in just a little over 2 weeks. I'm not sure you could find another movement that exploded that quickly. Furthermore, we're almost at $500,000 raised. Remember, we are taking zero money from corporations and big money donors. Zero money. So this is all nurses and cashiers and construction workers and accountants and teachers and regular people, security guards, you name it, regular people. So we raised almost $500,000. By the way, totally nonprofit venture. I get $0.00 for this. I wouldn't have it any other way. Cenk Uygur, $0.00 for this. Everybody's working for the actual cause of trying to get real progressives and liberals who are not corrupt into our government. And we now have nearly 3,000 people, guys, 3,000 who've said, I want to run, because that's what this is all about. We're building a movement to primary the shit out of the corporate Democrats because we think they've destroyed the party and they're corrupt. So we want people who are not corrupt to bring the party back to what it's supposed to be all along, a representative of the people, a representative of workers, a representative of the policies that the American people want according to the polls. We have almost 3,000 people who said, I want to run, I want to be a Justice Democrat, I want to primary this corporate Democrat in my district, I'm ready to go, man, let's do it. So they're vetting the candidates, they're training the candidates. Remember, Shoykat Chakrabarti and Zach Exley, these are people who were top Bernie Sanders campaign officials. They're the ones who are doing all the hard infrastructure work and dotting the I's and crossing the T's and dealing with that aspect of it. So one would think, that is quite an interesting story. You have what is effectively a left Tea Party. Now, by the way, don't do a false equivalency here. They're the same as them because the Tea Party was pretty much wrong on their policy solutions. We are representing what the American people want according to the polling data. So, but in our strategy and our technique, it's a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. So we have what is effectively a left Tea Party roaring up from out of nowhere. Over 100,000 people in a little over 2 weeks. Where's the mainstream media? I don't hear them. What's going on? There were a few instances. I spoke the other day about how Tom Perez, the establishment pick for DNC head, this guy's pro-TPP. He was in Obama's administration. He heard about us. He's like, oh, shit, this is wild. Howard Dean mentioned, oh, yeah, people are organizing. He was referring to Justice Democrats. He didn't say us by name. By the way, we don't support him because he's a corporate sellout. He just knows of our existence and briefly brought us up on MSNBC. Outside of that, and some print outlets and some new media outlets that did some good coverage of Justice Democrats, we ain't on CNN. They haven't called us by name on MSNBC. Fox News has dick to say. ABC, CBS, NBC, the nightly news. I don't hear anything. Let me explain something to you guys. I know this business. That's a slap in the fucking face. They don't take you seriously. They are on another level of condescension that I don't think I've ever seen before. You want to know why? Because you're progressive. Look at how they treated Bernie Sanders during the primary campaign. Please. They would show Donald Trump's empty podium while Bernie Sanders was giving a rousing speech to tens of thousands of people. There were nights where Bernie Sanders won a bunch of primaries. They didn't show him. They didn't show him. They gave him little to no coverage. You want to know why? Because you're progressive. They go, oh, look at these naive kids. You know how the millennial scorn is a big thing? Where, oh, millennials are lazy bitches or addicted to technology. Blah, blah, blah. This is what the older generations say. And meanwhile, they don't get that they crashed the fucking economy and allowed money in politics, and we have a broken system, and that's their fucking fault. But they look down at you. It's condescension. Oh, they'll get over it. These young kids who think they have all the answers. Guess what, bitch? We actually do our research. We actually have the internet, and we have the world available at our fingertips. And it turns out millennials know what the fuck is going on more than you ever did. And they look down on you. Isn't that amazing? You happen to know that the United States of America is one of just 2 other nations that doesn't have paid maternity leave by law, the others being Oman and Papua New Guinea. You happen to know that the United States is the only modern nation that doesn't have paid vacation by law. You happen to know that we're the only modern nation that doesn't have universal health care. You happen to know that even Slovenia has done a universal college system, and we don't. We have a student loan debt crisis in this country, over $1 trillion, and you can't even file for bankruptcy on that, so a lot of people are paying it into their 70s. You happen to know that a minimum wage is not a living wage. Meanwhile, in Australia, the minimum wage is over $15 an hour. You happen to know that collective bargaining raises the standard of living for middle-class people. You happen to know that we're doing 7 interventions right now, including 2 full-scale wars. You happen to know that over 50% of the discretionary budget goes towards the military. The war in Iraq will cost $7 trillion when all is said and done. That the bailout of Wall Street was over $16 trillion. You know how broken and corrupt and backwards this system is. So you're angry. And you rise up, and you say, no more of this. Step aside, bitch. We're taking over. And they don't even cover you. Over 100,000 people in just 2 weeks. The Tea Party didn't have numbers like that. The Tea Party, there were 17 dudes in somebody's front lawn named Cletus at the beginning. Oh, the Tea Party rally, Tea Party. Glenn Beck, look, Glenn Beck, you're so wise, and let's cover you for fucking 17 hours straight and talk about how genuine populist uprising, and man, these people know what they're talking about, even though they're holding up signs that says, take your government hands off my Medicare. Oh, cover Tea Party, oh my God, this is such an organic movement, and it's natural, and it's rising up, and it's grassroots. But when we launch a movement, when progressives and liberals launch a movement that is fundamentally anti-corruption and anti-establishment and represents what the people want to see implemented, they don't even have anything to say to you. They got nothing to say. I'll pass on that story, please. We have more important things to cover. Hello, didn't something else happen with Kanye today? Let's cover that endlessly. What did President Trump tweet? Did he say something that was interesting? Quick, let's put up the breaking news banner on that. Oh, over 100,000 progressives in just over 2 weeks have gotten together, and almost 3,000 of them have promised to run, and they've raised almost $500,000 in that short time span. Not even interesting enough for a brief fucking mention. I tell you all that to remind you, this is an uphill battle, and we're fighting to win here. So they don't want to cover us? Even though we're the most newsworthy story that there's ever been in human history? Fine, fuck them. We don't need them. We don't need them. We just need each other. We got new media. We have each other. There's a real grassroots uprising happening right now where the Bernie wing is taking over the Democratic Party because our philosophy is what the Democrats were supposed to believe and represent all along. They don't need to validate our story. We're going to fucking validate it ourselves. And probably one of the biggest reasons they're not going to cover us is Well, we haven't gotten the blessing of the corporations and the billionaires now, have we? Because our movement is fundamentally opposed to them. So don't cover these, these rowdy kids who think they're actually going to make the United States like other modern nations. Silly kids. Obviously, we raid the treasury and loot the treasury and give it to the corporations, and we have an oligarchy in this country. Step aside. No, how about you fucking step aside? How about you're going to hear us roar? How about your time is up? JusticeDemocrats.com. I need you to go there, sign your name in support of the movement. When that number hits 1 million, guess what? They're still going to try to ignore us. At a certain point, they won't be able to, though. And then they move on to phase 2 and phase 3. There's going to be a smearing phase where, this is a fucking ruse and it's a scam and these people are fucking bad people and look at the leaders of the movement. Oh, God, a little fucking YouTube host guy. And look, he curses sometimes in his videos. Oh, he's ungentlemanly. They're going to smear the shit out of us. And then they're going to move on to the next step at some point, which is, we were with them all along. I don't know what you mean, the Justice Democrats. Of course, Justice Democrat. I'm a Justice Democrat. I don't know what you're talking about. What Justice Democrats? Great. They're too powerful and they keep getting elected. Anyway, and by the way, again, with Tom Perez, there were signs of this already. He's like, oh shit, we got these progressive lions roaring up and they know I'm pro-TPP. Uh-oh. Howard Dean, corporate sellout boy on MSO. Ooh, shit. Uh-oh. They're organizing. Look out. Now, again, they're not mentioning us by name, and there's only 2 mentions I heard so far. But we don't need them, is point number 1. And point number 2 is, at some point, we're going to make them say our name, bitch. Because when you have people power behind you, it's undeniable. So, let's fight and let's win. JusticeDemocrats.com. Sign your name in support of the movement. By the way, I love how some people are they look down on the movement and they're progressive, but understand, you act like, oh, this isn't, there's not enough information about this. You can run. Like this idea of transparency. Yeah, I don't like this. You don't like it, why don't you run? How about you run, you'll get vetted, and if you make the cut, then you can run as a Justice Democrat. What problem is there with that? The whole movement is based on the polling data with the stuff that you believe, the American people believe, and the American people are progressives, according to the polls. It's that mixed with zero corporate money and zero billionaire money, and you running to take over the party. It's you. It ain't me. It ain't Cenk. It's the platform, the ideas behind it, the philosophy, and you running to take over the Democratic Party and get rid of the establishment and get rid of the corporatists. What the fuck could be wrong with that? There is literally nothing wrong with that. That is the most organic grassroots thing that there could ever be. So let's rise up and let's take this party back and let's make them hear us. Let's get to